This is the analysis of country, currency, and culture risk for the country of South Korea done by Joey Cilano and Sylvester Southwell. So just to give a little bit of a background on statistics of South Korea, in 2014 the population was estimated at 50,617,045 people in a land area of about 38,691 square miles, with a nominal GDP of 1.43 trillion US dollars and a per capita GDP of $28,338. And that puts South Korea as the fourth largest economy in Asia. As far as development goes, it is the most developed Asian country by the Human Development Index. And some interesting facts about it is that it has the fastest internet speeds in the world and the second highest smartphone usage in the world, presumably to the United States. Some reasons why someone might want to invest in South Korea, as far as growth in the world economic race, if you compare it to, let's say, the Olympic foot race, South Korea is definitely leading by far. Over the past 5 decades, they have seen growth above 5%, and recently they reached a 5-year high in economic growth. One of the things that makes South Korea such an attractive place to invest in is the fact that they are constantly ready for change. And this is important because they are able to mobilize in the face of adversity, so that if someone is investing or bringing a business into the country, they have a lower risk to ever lose that investment. Looking at the strengths of the South Korean economy, you can definitely see an emphasis on manufacturing, which accounts for 31% of their GDP. They have held themselves as the gold standard of manufacturing, recently overtaking Japan as that gold standard in the past few years. Looking at some of the largest companies in the South Korean economy, we see Hyundai, which is a car manufacturer, LG, which manufactures electronics and specifically smartphones, and of course Samsung, which is an internationally recognized brand as one of the best electronics providers, and that accounts for 16% of the GDP of the country. Of course, any upside for investing in the economy has a downside, so we're going to talk about some of the risks involved in investing in the South Korean economy, specifically the 3 main risks that we discussed in class: culture risk, currency risk, and country or political risk.
Cultural risk. Strong family companies protected by government, known as chaebols.
So these chaebols essentially are working with the government, and they essentially get monopolies in the industries that they're competing, which makes it really difficult for other businesses to break into those industries.
They have a high context culture.
And this is difficult really for westernized businesses and investors because we're used to a low context culture. So coming in, we have to adapt to that high context culture and all of the things that are involved with that.
But some of the benefits of this is that they're becoming more westernized.
So they're creating their own pop culture that is similar to Western culture. They have their K-pop, which is being exported into other countries. Of course, Korean movies and that sort of thing. And so it really is becoming more westernized.
Yeah, which is allowing the chaebols to decrease in their power.
And this has also come about because of some government reforms that have been breaking up some of these monopolies and some of these chaebols that allow for greater competition in the market.
Which is a good thing, seeing that they're more transparent now, so that we can see that they're not as corrupt as they used to be.
Perfect.
Yeah,
that was good.
Now we're going to talk about currency risk. Now, there's not much to talk about in currency risk with South Korea.
So looking at a Google search over, you can see that the South Korean won has been relatively sound over the past 4 years. It's fluctuated a little bit, but it mostly stays within 10% of the median.
Have been some fears of depreciation.
And this is coming out of a report from Morgan Stanley out of the United Kingdom, and basically what they're saying is that there's going to be a potential 12% depreciation in the South Korean won. But again, this fits the pattern over the past 4 years.
South Korea has also opened up a new trade deal coming with China.
And this is something that has been finalized on December 1st, actually. And this is going to be good for the South Korean economy and for any investor or business person moving into the South Korean economy, because they're going to be able to work more with China, and that's going to help their currency and that's going to help their economy.
Yeah.
Finally, looking at country or political risk in South Korea, we look at, of course, the predominant threat of attack from North Korea, and this is something that's been going on for the last several decades. However, the chances of an actual attack are slim, but we can see that there is obviously always some tension between North and South Korea as apparent in the demilitarized zone between them. However, South Korea has a very strong democratic government which has been passing some good business reforms lately, and that has led to good economic growth which is projected to continue over the next several years. Another thing that is a benefit to the strong government is that they have a low debt to GDP ratio for their country, which means that if there's an economic crisis, they can absorb it fairly well, meaning that if an investor or business person moves into South Korea, then they have a low risk of losing their investment. However, there have been some recent protests as the polarization of politics increase, and we'll take a look at a video explaining that.
Seoul hasn't seen clashes like this for many years. The increasingly polarized politics of this country at last bubbling over. At stake, two key issues: the Conservative government's attempts to reform labor laws and its drive to produce its own history textbook for use by all children in the country.
We're here to stop them changing the labor law for the worse. We want workers to be able to work.
At first I just thought I'd come to participate, but having seen all this, I'm planning to fight to the end.
South Korean police pride themselves on their modern techniques, replacing baton-wielding officers with impenetrable barriers, tear gas with remote-controlled water cannon. It's a distinction that was lost on many in the crowd. And we can confirm that the effects are far from pleasant.
This is the most concerted attempt we've seen in years of these protesters trying to get through this, what has been an impermeable barrier. They've been spraying this chemically laced water at them for well over an hour, nearly 2 hours now, and they're still trying every way they know how with their low-tech means, but so far it's all proved fruitless.
And to finish up, just some fun facts about South Korea. South Korea is one of only a few countries, including Germany, into which Walmart has not been able to expand successfully, and this kind of shows you the nature of the South Korean culture. Also, in Seoul, South Korea, there's the largest Pentecostal church congregation, which is the Yoido Full Gospel Church, with more than 830,000 members.
South Korea is famous for having home deliveries of fast foods, which are quite uncommon in the United States. And to increase the name recognition and sales in North America, Kia offered a buy one get one free deal in the Midwest.
Finally, wrapping up with some references, and that is all we have for you today.